Introducing first, the challengers from the Welsh Valleys, on a combined weight of 450 pounds, made of stone, Danny Jones, and the workhorse, Brendan White, the Bleeding And introducing their opponents, weighing in a combined weight of 419 pounds, they are the reigning and defending Irish Tag Team Champions, Owen Richards, Andy Steele, the Saviours of Destiny.
Incredible to see. The sea of hands, the SOD chants. For the first time, I can say the Saviours of Destiny actually have what could be described as home advantage. They've never had this before because everybody in their own hometown hates them, but that's just not the case anymore. And instead, the fans turn their middle fingers towards the greedy souls coming to us from Wales. It's interesting. I mean, you can see obviously, Andy Steele really enjoying these reactions, and who knows, it could unlock something in both Owen Richards and Andy Steele that we haven't seen before. But after the last match, I mean, you just never know what you're gonna get with Saviours of Destiny. You never know what levels they're gonna unlock. You never know how much they're gonna improve from show to show. It's incredible. And especially after they lose their tag team titles and win them back, it's almost like you see a brand new Saviours every single time. We are starting this with two wrestlers who I think are very, very similar to each other. We're seeing Owen Richards and Brendan White in a battle of the powerhouses. Brendan White doing what he needs to do to get the advantage from the start. Owen Richards taking White off his feet. And again, it's really in these last few months you've seen what Owen Richards can do on his own with his power and his strength. He's been, catching opponents in midair with spears. He's been slamming them full power onto the canvas, but Andy Steele as well. And I'm nervous to make any comments about Andy Steele because really I don't know what I'm going to see here. Am I going to be seeing a fully fit, fully healed Andy Steele? He certainly looks, he looks to be doing fairly well. It may have just been, a sprain or whatever it was in his title victory, but again, it's to come back after a few weeks. Of course, this show has been postponed from a few weeks ago. That may help, it may work in his favour. But there, even things like that, landing on his feet. Is he good to put all that weight on it? Again, it appears that he is. So the Saviours of Destiny certainly unfazed by any damage they took in their previous match, and already we're seeing the double team maneuvers from the Saviours of Destiny. We're just not seeing it from their greedy souls, and that's the difference. It always has been the difference, even when the Saviours of Destiny got started. The chemistry that Andy Steele and Owen Richards had in fights, where the chemistry was essential to beating their opponents, they've always delivered on that end. So with that chemistry mixed in with the support of the crowd, getting the adrenaline pumping, it's really exciting times if you're a Saviours of Destiny fan, which I never would have said 2 months ago, but it just goes to show how quickly things can change in professional wrestling. The touch of a button. I noticed Brendan White tagged himself in. I don't know if Owen Richards saw the tag. Yeah, he didn't catch the tag, wasn't ready. Danny Jones doing the smart thing, getting Andy Steele off the ring apron. Just like that, momentum has shifted. I would have thought coming into this the Greedy Souls would have actually tried to target Andy Steele. Just for the simple fact that, of course, he was banged up in his last fight, but he seems to be finding it alright in there, so he's probably mostly recovered. And I suppose when you think about it, attacking Owen Richards specifically, taking the sort of the power and the strength out of the Saviours, that may be the smarter move if you're Danny Jones and Brendan White. And now we're seeing that teamwork. Now we're seeing tags and moves taking place in their corner of the ring. That's what you need. And what's really interesting about this is seeing the Saviours of Destiny's approach change. Usually you see them in this sort of situation, and Anita Vaughn is on her way out. She's gonna interfere, get involved, do what she needs to do. But that's, we've seen in recent days, the Saviours of Destiny, a bit of a falling out of sorts between Anita Vaughn and Owen. It's, obviously, of course, there are 3 Saviours of Destiny. They are still very much all a team, but Anita Vaughn has one approach, and the lads seem to have an approach of their own. And it appears their ideologies are clashing a little bit, but they've made it very clear they want to do things the right way from now on, and so far it has paid dividends. But we'll wait and see. Andy Steele and Owen Richards, to their credit, both as individuals and as a team, are definitely not the sort of wrestlers that you need to cheat to win. They've always done it because it's the easiest way to do it, it's the most secure way of doing it, but on their own merit, they haven't necessarily needed to. It's going to be interesting to see that, without Anita Vaughn, without those interferences, without the cheat, how far they can go. If they can beat the Greedy Souls here tonight, the answer to that question is very clear. The Greedy Souls, we're not just talking one of the best tag teams in Fight Factory, we're talking one of the best tag teams in Europe. As I've said, a team that's won belts all around the continent. And I think it's worth pointing out, are not just unfazed by the Saviours, but the Saviours are unfazed by them. The Saviours fully believe, they always have done, that they can take on anyone and everyone that is put in front of them. That's, so far it's been fairly well balanced, I feel. It's still as difficult to call a winner now as it was when it started, so they've every reason to believe in themselves. I'm intrigued by the dynamic between Owen Richards in particular and the Greedy Souls, because I feel like stylistically these teams are quite similar to each other, but Andy Steele as an individual, maybe stylistically a bit more different than Owen Richards in terms of how Owen Richards matches up against Danny Jones, as we've just seen there. I mean, that was some of the best that Owen Richards has to offer. Those are his strikes, those are his forearms, those are, that's the move that causes the damage. And we've seen Danny Jones throw one back, from his own end and completely wipe out Owen Richards. It makes me believe that, should Owen Richards be able to tag in Andy Steele's approach would be slightly different, a bit quicker on the feet. And it could be something that, perhaps he might be able to outpace Brandon White, perhaps he may be able to outpace Danny Jones. But, when you're in a situation like this and it's effectively 2-on-1, because you're unable to make a tag for your partner, it does of course put a huge disadvantage, much to the dismay of these fans who again are chanting bullshit, in favour of the Saviours as opposed to against them, which is again, it's taken a lot of getting used to. Danny Jones, that's at least 3 times now Andy Steele's been knocked off the apron, so they can focus on Owen Richards. But Owen Richards doing a smart thing, sending them both into each other and sending them both flying across the ring by himself. Incredible. Whoever gets their feet here first, that is going to be potentially game-changing, particularly if it's Owen Richards. He's going to need this. And he gets it just about the tip of his fingers, but he does get it. And Andy Steele running in with the knee and running in with a forearm to Brendan White and running from corner to corner. And this is what I was talking about. It's that speed, that quickness, the agility. Sending Danny Jones into his partner, and now we're seeing the kicks from Andy Steele. And you'd swear, watching Andy Steele tonight, that he was never involved in that war a few months ago. But Danny Jones elbows his way out of there. One thing that's noteworthy about Danny Jones is the size. The height of this man. He comes in here towering over most of his opponents. And Andy Steele! Looks like he may have just knocked Danny Jones out, but Brendan White comes in for the save. And Richards getting thrown out by Brendan White, who's now tagged in. White runs into Steele and this could potentially be it here for the Greedy Souls. And I thought for a second, it's very rare, when somebody wins a championship, it's quite rare that they lose it in their first title defense. That's usually how it is, because you have to work so hard to get a title shot. You have to work even harder to win your title match. That usually that momentum carries on, but when you're taking all that attack from the Greedy Souls, it's not easy to maintain your momentum, and this could be it. Andy Steele still kicks out at 2. There's no question the durability of Andy Steele. There's no question the heart of Andy Steele, but again, this is what tag team wrestling is all about. You take these double team maneuvers and it's very, very difficult to get out of them. You really do need your partner on his feet ready to break up those pins. Oh, and that's what I'm talking about. Owen Richards using one of his opponents to break up the pin. The fans appreciating this one. And a great effort shown, in particular from the Saviours of Destiny, to weather the storm. There was a a large portion of this match there in the middle where the Greedy Souls were starting to dominate. They were starting to take control after a hot start from the Saviours, and once the Greedy Souls take control, it's very difficult to break out with that. That's why they are the top, one of the top tag teams in Europe at the minute, because teams really struggle to break them down and get back in the fight once they've taken advantage. But Owen Richards caught with that big boot. And a forearm from Brendan. Owen Richards sends Brendan White into the corner, but Danny Jones has him up, hits him with the knee. And Andy Steele comes in with the knee of his own. But Owen Richards with the spear. The action is just so fast paced. You still, at this point, you still don't know who's going to win this. I was going to say, if Owen Richards could have secured a pin there, it could have been a different story, but I don't believe he's a legal man. I think Andy Steele would still need to make the tag. But again, when the action spills onto this level and you've got everybody fighting each other as if it's tornado tag rules, you forget who the legal man is. It's what makes Fox's job so difficult. But of course, he's on top of things as always. Andy Steele. Looks like this could be it for him. No, he counters. And a tornado DDT to Brendan White allows him to make the tag into Owen Richards. And look at the quickness of the Saviours. I mean, this is something that they've gotten so much better at. And I really did think, when Owen Richards hits you with lariat, when Owen Richards is coming at you with that speed, full force, it's the sort of thing that can really take a wrestler's head off, both literally and figuratively. A lot of opponents don't know where they are, but they get taken out. But Danny Jones with another big boot, and that's been really, Jesus. A pile driver to Owen Richards. That could be serious. And Andy Steele thrown across the ring. Danny Jones has been tagged in. Oh, this is not looking good for the Saviours. And Andy Steele kicks out at 2. I didn't want to start eulogizing Andy Steele. I don't like to do that with wrestlers. I don't like to count them out before the match is over, but I really did honestly think that was it for Andy Steele, and that was it for the Saviours of Destiny, and that would be their third title run over just like that. But Brendan White gets pushed into his partner, and Andy Steele dropping Brendan White on his head. The backstabber, we've seen that do some damage to their opponents in the past, but that is not their finisher. That is not how they typically end their fights. They typically end it with this move here, the call to action. And that is it. Titles retained. And a tough test for the Saviours, a test of destiny, but it's a test that they have passed with flying colours. This is not a flash in the pan flavour of the month title run. This is a title run that could go on for longer than any tag teams in Europe are prepared to admit. The Greedy Souls are one of the best tag teams in Europe, and they just got flattened. Well, not flat. They weren't destroyed by the Saviours of Destiny. It took time. It took a lot of effort. Don't get me wrong. The Greedy Souls brought it. But the Saviours of Destiny came out on top because that is what they do. We call the Greedy Souls one of the best tag teams in Europe. And what are the Saviours of Destiny? The team that just beat one of the greatest tag teams in Europe at the minute. The reality is, the Saviours of Destiny are more than just a decent tag team, a good tag team, a great tag team. They are the Irish Tag Team Champions, and that speaks for itself. this is not just a sporting contest that we're about to win. This is not, a technical wrestling affair. This is a fight. This is violence. This is personal. This is about betrayal. Two friends. Formerly family. The mid-card Mafia were not just your everyday faction. They were a family. Until Jay Stynes decided to turn his back on Dom Tuck. One of the least wisest moves ever made in professional wrestling. And he has run and he has hid. But there is no running and hiding anymore. Right, well, as beautiful as that was, we do have to get back to the action, and it's not September 8th, it is September 29th. Oh, and he's wearing the Mid-Card Mafia shirt. That is the ultimate sign of disrespect. What does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? Who has Dom Tuck brought as backup? That is an incredible backup for Dom Tuck to be bringing. The combined experience of Justy and Phil Boyd. It's more years that the members of Gangland have years of life. But it's a sad state of affairs in a sense, because this isn't just a nice little bonus, this is a necessity. This is what's required. Dom Tuck needs Justy and Phil Boyd to even the odds, because Jay Stynes point blank refuses to get in there and fight Dom Tuck one-on-one, despite being the ringleader, despite being the man who went out and fought in Compton. You know, you can do all those things, but ultimately, you know, the real test of a man is whether or not he's willing to stand there and trade with Dom Tuck. And ultimately that is something that really nobody's willing to do. It's too risky, it's too violent, it's too dangerous. But now Jay Stynes on the biggest stage of them all, Grapple Games, he's got no choice. So we start with six-man tag action, but you'll notice Phil Boyd he knows there's only one man to tag in this match, and it's Dom Tuck, and immediately Jay Stynes gets out of there. Immediately he tags in his backup, his muscle, Double L, Liam Leonard. If Dom Tuck has to go through Liam Leonard, if Dom Tuck has to go through Joey Monroe, if Dom Tuck has to go through God himself, he will do whatever it is he needs to do to get his hands on the ringleader, Jay Stynes. But Dom Tuck is doing the smart thing. He doesn't need to fight Double L. Now Jay Stynes, he's tagged himself back in. He's ready to go. Phil Boyd versus... Oh, it's Dom Tuck. Okay, we've two tags being made as Jay Stynes immediately runs back in retreat. Dom Tuck, I mean, as I've said, Dom Tuck, there's a lot of motivation coming into this match on both sides, don't get me wrong. Liam Leonard, of course, wants Leighton Liam too. You know, Double L wants Leighton Buzzard. He's made no secret of that, and he thinks that this will be his way to achieve that. We'll wait and see. Leighton Buzzard is, of course, out in Japan. But Dom Tuck, as I've said, will do everything he needs to beat Double L, and so far with all the fans behind him, it looks like he is going to achieve his goal. Phil with the punches. You know, when you look at the experience advantage between Phil Boyd and Double L, I mean, Phil's just having fun in there. I mean, this is almost like like training. This is almost like a walk in the park for Phil Boyd. He's, you know, one of the best technical wrestlers in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling, full stop. So it's no surprise he's got that advantage over Double L. No surprise Dom Tuck brought him in as backup with Jay Stynes. Oh, and Jay Stynes with a referee distracted. Foxy did not have his eyes where they needed to be, and Joey Monroe coming in with a low blow. And to Joey Monroe's credit, and I know it's I hate to say to his credit, nobody wants to give Joey Monroe credit for anything, right? But he is intelligent. You know, this man has come in out of nowhere and has already made quite an impact in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. And now Jay Stynes with that advantage, able to keep Phil Boyd in the corner. And you know, if Jay Stynes, what his objective is now, you know, usually when you're in a tag team match like this, a 6-man tag especially, you know you're in for the long run. You know that's, you know, a lot is going to happen. A lot of different people are going to get involved. But you know, when you look at Jay Stynes right now, he just wants to basically put Phil Boyd away as quickly as possible. He wants to end this before Dom Tuck can even get in there. And Phil Boyd putting a very swift end to the hopes of Jay Stynes as Dom Tuck already gets tagged in. And now Justy gets tagged in. It's the first time we've had Justy in this match. And are we going to see potentially... Well, I don't want to spoil it for those of you who are watching Fight Factory for the first time. Well, there's 3 of them this time. They're working in cohesion, using that extra man to their advantage. It's a triple stomp this time. That's not a move that needs any commentary at all. That is a move that just speaks for itself. That's one of those moves where you just look at the aftermath on the body of the person who just got hit with it. This is I'm sorry, I love you territory. As Double L's career gets shortened before our eyes. Go on, one more time. Why not? Why not? Yes! You know, at this rate, it looks like Double L may not actually make it to Leighton Buzzard for that rematch. He may want it, but I think this could potentially be the end of the road tonight for Double L. Oh, and another one. I mean, that is just... I think the body language of Joey Monroe and Jay Stynes tells the full story. You can see, like, they're flinching. They haven't even been hit with it. These fans are ruthless. But I agree with every single thing they're saying. One more time, indeed. Oh, Jay Stynes getting slapped, but it's enough of a distraction to open up a window of opportunity for Double L, and raining down the fist on Justy. But you know, Foxy, of course, pulling Double L away. He does have until 5. And while Foxy's distracted again, Jay Stynes got tagged in. And Jay Stynes is just in the corner. Again with the count to 5. Justy kicks out at 2. Jay Stynes goes for a suplex on Justy, doesn't quite get it. Will he go for a second? He does. It wasn't a suplex at all, but it was effective. Ultimately, Jay Stynes, his goal here ultimately is to avoid Dom Tuck from being tagged in. Stop Dom Tuck from being tagged in. That is the objective. And Joey Stynes, you know, to his credit, 100% hit accuracy. Every shot that he's gone for thus far, he has got, even if it was just a short one. And Joey Monroe gets tagged in again and puts the boots to Justy. You know what Jay Stynes has over Justy is definitely a quickness. You'll see that, you know, as he gets that spine buster. You know, Jay Stynes not known for his quickness because he's known for a lot of the other aspects of Jay Stynes that makes the ringleader the ringleader. He's known for his brash attitude, but he's very quick in there. But Joey Monroe, again, when he gets tagged in, he's effective. We'll put it that way. Well, effective up to a point. And I think I've just seen Joey's life flash before his eyes, begging Foxy to make him let go. And I mean, this could be it. I have to just say it like it is. Joey Monroe is the weak point of Gangland when it comes to, you know, from a physical standpoint. Dom Tuck, he wants to tag. Phil Boyd, he wants to tag. Joey Monroe tags in Double L. Well, Dom Tuck got tagged on the other side, and now we're seeing again Dom Tuck has the physical advantage over Double L. He has the technical advantage over Double L. Has the experience advantage over Double L. Has every single advantage you could possibly ask for over Double L in this match. Has more heart, more confidence. Well, I don't know. Double L is very confident to his credit. It's actually much to his detriment, if anything. But from behind, Dom Tuck does not see Jay Stynes, and that's the first time we have seen contact between the ringleader and Dom Tuck in this match. Off the middle rope, Dom Tuck. I don't even know if he got out of the way intentionally there, because of course his leg was chopped from behind. It knocked his balance, but Dom Tuck now has Jay Stynes right where he wants him. Jay Stynes, I don't know if he's taunting or begging. It looks like he's begging. He throws a strike. Dom Tuck counters it, and finally Dom Tuck gets his hands on Jay Stynes. Jay Stynes throws Dom Tuck in a corner, and Dom Tuck bursting out with a corner. And this is going exactly as you would expect it to go. Dom Tuck versus Jay Stynes one-on-one. Jay Stynes fears Dom Tuck for a reason. Now Joey Monroe in from behind, and his attempt at a low blow actually gets caught. You don't see that too often, but that's the inexperience of Joey Monroe and the ring awareness of Dom Tuck coming to the forefront as Dom Tuck just throws Joey Monroe to the wolves. Justy has him in the pile driver position. Phil Boyd off the top. That's it. Joey Monroe is as good as dead. Double L comes in, and that's 3D from Team PB&J. Sends him out of the equation. Dom Tuck goes to the pin, and it's over. You'd have to imagine at this point that is probably the end of that. Dom Tuck getting his revenge on Jay Stynes. Gangland are very much in the mud, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens from this point on. You know, especially with Dom Tuck. I mean, this is somebody who really we've only through injury and such. We've only just seen bits and pieces of what he can do. With Dom Tuck, as far as he's concerned, it's not over at all, as he towers over Jay Stynes. And finishes him. As Yup the Tuck chants echo around the Fight Factory. Jay Stynes lies there knowing that finally Dom Tuck got his revenge. I am so excited for this one. I am so intrigued. I believe this is quite possibly a singles debut for Gallacini, the legitimate Gallacini, and he is looking legitimate tonight. He is ready for a fight. Very different reception for Butch Armstrong here tonight. The bearded beauties, the bearded bastards, whatever you want to call them, have been nothing short of disgraceful these past few months. Their frustrations with not just Gallacini and AJ Scraggs, but Fight Factory in general have bubbled up to the surface. You know, this is someone who stands alone tonight because JDP can't make it, but you'll know. I mean, it's almost. I mean, Butch Armstrong, he doesn't care about standing here on his own. You know, first of all, he's got very underrated singles abilities. As you know, you'll see that a lot in tag teams here in Fight Factory, where singles wrestlers are they're underrated as singles competitors, because you rarely get to see them in singles competition, but when they do, they step up. Butch Armstrong is someone. Sorry, I'm distracted at Butch and the fans going back and forth there. I mean, going to want to concentrate here because he's got a very interesting task ahead of him with Galacini. I don't know how this is going to go because you never know how it's going to go when Galacini steps up to fight. But Galacini had the greatest moment of his life ruined by the Bearded Beauties when they put him through a table after it was established that him and his tag team partner AJ Scraggs were on the same page. Yeah, I'm not hearing a huge amount of Butch chants, I have to say. Galacini already popular enough as it is. Without Butch turning his back on Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. Of course, attacking Debbie Springer at our last show as well. Just nothing short of disgusting these past few months. But now we get to see what Butch is made of. Now we get to see, you know, is their anger justified in any way? Is there a tag team there that should be getting more serious matches, serious opportunities? Galacini has a fairly underrated technical ability of his own. Technical, more so getting out of moves than getting into them, but technical nonetheless. It's very interesting to see, can Galacini keep his composure and keep his mind where it needs to be, at peace and concentrating on the task ahead of him, which is beating Butch in a wrestling match. When you're very emotional after something like what Galacini experienced, you can over-invest yourself and you can be quite sloppy. You can make mistakes. An angry fighter is, in one sense, a dangerous fighter, but in the other, also quite a sloppy one too. And so far, Galacini, you can see the emotion on him, but at the same time, he's channeling it well. And he's staying calm enough to keep himself in the fight against a very talented Butch, but he gets caught right where he doesn't want to be, in underneath the ring apron. And Butch raining those uppercuts and those chops on Galacini. When you're trapped in that ring apron, you're effectively defensiveness. Your footwork, the way that you normally get out of moves, it's all out the window. You're pretty much stuck there. But Galacini is out. And Butch down on his feet, down on the outside, a stiff chop to Galacini. And he gets dropped back first on the hardest part of the ring. Well, that is what it is, to be fair. Anyway, when you get hit, when you get slammed on the ring apron like that, you do hear it all the time, hardest part of the ring and all that, but it's the sort of thing that can completely take you out of a match. You can come in. Sorry, I just again distracted by the fans here, letting Butch know how they feel about his beard getting into the head of Butch, which is something that's quite new for Butch. It's something he didn't have to deal with. The fans not being on his side, trying to get into his head, trying to put him off, as opposed to supporting him. And giving him that sort of adrenaline to carry himself to the end, to the finish line. It's a very different experience if you're not used to it. And Butch is used to a lot of things, used to fighting, used to singles competition, more than you would realise. But I wouldn't say he's used to the fans working against him like this. It's a very different side to the game that Butch just hasn't really seen yet. But as I was saying, the ring apron, you can come into this with any sort of strategy. Be it a quick strategy, a technical approach, maybe you're going to target this, target that. Once you get slammed on the ring apron, your strategy goes completely out the window. If you get dropped on your head, you get dropped on your back. Your movement, your lifting, your strikes, everything is affected. And you've also got to deal with the mental side of it, kind of thinking, am I injured? Am I hurt? Could this be something that takes me out for a few months? So it's a lot to deal with. You talk about moves that really shift the momentum of a match. That is something that shifts the momentum of a match more than anything else. And now he's getting dropped on that back again repeatedly. I mean, that's something that, you know, the back is really a very interesting part of the body to target, because, you know, that's obviously that's the area that you need to put the pressure on when you're kicking out with stuff. We're seeing, and again, just when you're targeting the back, it's so simple. Just slamming, you know, grabbing your opponent with force, slamming him on his back, just like that. And it's the damage it does after taking the initial slam onto the ring apron. It's not like you're just doing it first thing in a match. This is the pain that Galacini is in right now. Is the sort of pain that you would feel after, you know, 20 minutes of fighting. It's not something you usually feel this early on. But Galacini is one of those people where mentally he's so tough. People don't realize how tough Galacini is mentally, because you know, he's very charismatic, very flashy, you know, a bit goofy in a sense. But the wrestlers who are like that are usually the ones who are very comfortable in themselves, comfortable going into fights. They don't feel those nerves, those jitters, and they almost feel invincible at times, even if on paper they may not be the favourite going into their match. Ultimately, Galacini is somebody who's unfazed by the strength and power that the Bearded Beauties offer. And Butch, again, when you're in there teaming with JDP, people look at JDP's strength, they look at his power, they think, man, this fella is the strongest on the roster. And don't get me wrong, he probably is, but Butch Armstrong's his power is just, it's very underrated. Again, not something Galacini will be fazed by, as we're seeing as he hits Butch with that beautiful neck breaker. But it is something that Butch carries with him from match to match, and it's something that's very effective. Galacini now off the top. Butch Armstrong runs underneath and then slams Galacini onto that injured back. And Galacini kicks out at 2, but you can just see how uncomfortable he is. You can see it in his body language. He would like to be anywhere else. But Galacini won't stop until the job is done, or he can't push himself any further. But Butch Armstrong got caught there by Galacini, which is interesting. But this is normally the part of the match where, you know, if you're a tag team wrestler, you're used to, you know, taking these few seconds and pushing yourself and reaching out and tagging in your partner and then taking a break for the next couple of minutes. That's not the case now. It's one-on-one. Galacini and Butch are straight back into it. And that's, you know, if you're not used to that, that is a very, very difficult aspect of transitioning from tag team to singles wrestling. Galacini, though, no denying the heart as he gets hit with a German, and he's straight onto his feet. And Galacini! I am stunned. I am absolutely stunned. You know, I said Galacini is somebody who brings the fight. I said Galacini on his best night is almost invincible in a sense. He's almost impossible to put away because he just carries such confidence. But, you know, when you see the damage his back takes, he's only human. You know, it's well, here he is standing and trading, he is going back and forth. Butch and Galacini, chop for chop, strike for strike, and it's Galacini that's getting the upper hand. Very impressive stuff from Galacini. And I just knew Butch was going to kick out with that. I knew. A lot of times, you know, you see somebody take a lot of damage and you think they're going to be still in this, but Butch, you know, if you're going to pin him, you have to hook the leg, you know, be it the double leg, single leg, whatever you need to do, you have to, can't just go for that, you know, one arm over the body. It's obviously, it's better than nothing. If it's all you can do, you just have to go for it, but it's not going to be enough to put away Butch, at least not at this point in the match. And off the top comes Galacini, and it's countered, and again, back first. You think of so many moves that end with you falling on your back or getting slapped. You know, when your opponent decides to target that part of your body, you're in a lot of trouble if you can't maintain the upper hand. And Galacini, while putting up a great fight, you can't say he's necessarily, you know, maintaining the advantage. As Butch strikes the back of Galaccini. Galaccini landing on his feet, and that sort of stuff he does better than anybody else. Getting out of moves, I've said it time and time again. Galaccini getting the better of Butch Armstrong, but Butch Armstrong counters it, and Butch with the win, and I'm very, very surprised. Very surprised to see that Butch had to resort to countering a pinfall. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, it's a perfectly valid victory. But, you know, you see all the damage that Butch dished out to the back of Galaccini. You know, the strikes, the slams, everything. It was, you know, something that would have worn down Galaccini over time. And yet, and yet it was just a regular old counter, a technical counter. That's what caught Galaccini off guard. We don't even need Butch's music. You know, his fans are singing him to the back with your beard is shit and so are you. But that is something you love to see. AJ Scraggs and Galaccini. You know, ultimately win or lose, they are together there for each other. Oh, I know Butch, you know, can't just be happy with the victory. AJ Scraggs sending Butch Armstrong out of there. And that's what I mean, they have each other's backs. And that's great to see. And who knows, you know, AJ Scraggs still has to get his hands on JDP. And I don't know how that one's going to go.
Is a Rides match. Folks, let me explain the rules in this match, which is, of course, for the #1 contendership for the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship. This Rides match will be contested over 6 3-minute rounds. It will be decided by the best 2 out of 3 falls or 1 knockout. Each round will end after 3 minutes or after a pinfall or submission has been scored. Closed fists are illegal. It is illegal to use a closed fist. It is also illegal to throw your opponent over the top rope. Either of these offences or general bad behaviour will be met with an official public warning. 3 public warnings will equal a disqualification. Now, can you remember all that? The bloody try, okay? Talk to the people, right? Introducing first.
Mixed response here from the fans. Fabio, of course, with an awful lack of sportsmanship, we'll call it, in our last main event. It was, of course, LJ Cleary and Fabio defending their tag titles against Saviours of Destiny. Andy Steele got injured. It was very unfortunate. We were ready to call off the match, ready to, you know, do what needed to be done and show a bit of compassion. Everybody except Fabio. Fabio said, "Nah, I'm kicking Andy Steele's leg in. I'm gonna break it. I will end the man's career. I don't care. I'm here for one person, and that person is me." And it really, it sort of put Fabio in a different light in the eyes of these fans, and it's a very tense atmosphere in here. If I could describe it in one word, I would describe it as tense, almost a bit unusual. You know, this is the greatest Irish junior heavyweight champion of all time, you know? And in the opposite corner to Fabio is somebody who, you know, we're very lucky to have here at the end of September, just before he's on his way to Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan. We don't know how long it's going to be before he's back in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. But this will be his last European wrestling appearance for some time, and he's going to want to go out on a win, and it'll be a win against his former partner. It'll be a win against somebody who he almost clashed with. They're not on bad terms, they don't necessarily hate each other, but they clearly clashed, you know, in terms of their ideology, in terms of their sportsmanship. You know, Fabio did what he needed to do. LJ Cleary thought it was a bit unnecessary. He did join in, but then after the match, he paid his respects to the Saviours after they won. Fabio didn't. He couldn't. And that's the difference between LJ and Fabio. Fabio is immersed in himself. LJ Cleary understands. You know, he's got a view of the bigger picture, perhaps. And this is very, very interesting, you know, because this is, of course, for number one contendership of the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship, which is very interesting because LJ Cleary could win that, and then he might not be back for a few months. He might not be back till next year, and then he'll come back with a title shot raring and ready to go. He'd love that. That would be ideal for him. And standing across from him, we have Fabio. And it's weird. It still feels weird for me calling Fabio a former champion. Seeing Fabio without any gold around his waist, even after he lost the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship, you know, he still had tag team gold. And after losing the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship, he hasn't fought in singles competition since. So this is very, very interesting times. Last time these two wrestled each other, Fabio won. He retained the Irish Junior Heavyweight title, and LJ Cleary declared Fabio was the greatest Irish Junior Heavyweight champion of all time. That is coming from somebody who, up until that match, was himself the greatest Irish Junior Heavyweight champion of all time. Objectively speaking, the youngest ever and two-time Irish Junior Heavyweight champion. So, you know, this is very, very interesting. You know, what's changed since they last fought? I mean, the match was a year ago when they last wrestled each other, and they've been a team ever since. But sometimes when you team with somebody, you learn a lot about them, not just as a person, but as a wrestler. And if you ever go to then fight that person again as an opponent, it does assist, it does help quite a lot. And these two have not just wrestled together, as I've said, they've wrestled against each other. So, both men know each other so well. They know each other inside and out. And you can hear the crowd. Very interesting response. It's a mixed response because even though, I don't think there's much denying that Fabio may not be the greatest of people, he is amongst the greatest of wrestlers. And you may not like him as a person, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of people in this venue right now who want to see Fabio walk out as the winner. Not because they prefer him as a person to LJ Cleary, but because he always delivers. He's always entertaining to watch. I'm not even going to keep talking. I'm going to let the fans do the talking. This is one of those matches where before the bell even rings, the crowd are electric because they know what they're about to see. And that in itself is very, very exciting. Such an interesting match, such an unpredictable match as well. I was going to talk about the quickness of Fabio and the technical ability of LJ Cleary until I realised I can talk about the quickness of LJ Cleary and the technical ability of Fabio. That's the man right there who stood toe to toe with Jonathan Gresham and brought Jonathan Gresham to his limits. And that was almost 2 years ago. That was when we started 18 shows. That's when we started putting shows on in this venue. That's back when I used to have a commentary partner. That's how long ago it was. And if Fabio was able to do that back then, what's he able to do now? Reminder, we have not seen Fabio lose in singles competition since that match with Leighton Buzzard, and before that, we hadn't seen Fabio lose in singles competition in years. And a win here would make things so interesting for either man because, again, we have Grapple Games. We don't know how that's going to go. Will Martin Steers retain? Will somebody else walk out as the champion? I don't believe we've any briefcases or anything like that. But we're going into Grapple Games, and there's Martin Steers, there's Big Rab, there's JB, there's Anita Vaughn, Tucker is going in there as well, and now we've got the inclusion of CBL. Anyone in that match could walk out as champion, and if they do, without pinning the champion, then you've got Martin Steers with a claim for the belt. You've got the champion, of course. You've got anybody else in that match who could potentially walk out with a claim for the belt. And then you've got, the winner of Fabio and LJ Cleary here tonight. Things are going to get hectic with number one contendership on the line. One thing I find very interesting about this as well, though, is we mentioned LJ Cleary on his way to Japan. You know that Fabio is looking at his tag team partner, a tag team partner that he has beaten, a tag team partner that not only has he beaten him, but this partner has referred to him as the greatest Irish junior heavyweight champion of all time, and yet it's LJ Cleary going to Japan and not Fabio. And Fabio is going to be thinking in his head, what does he need to do to be the person who's leaving here? Getting the streamers, getting the adoration of the fans, and going off to places like Japan on expeditions. He's going to be thinking, I need to win this. I need to get back into title contention. I need to remind everyone who the man is in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. And Fabio with the wrist control, but LJ Cleary, again, technical ability, manages to counter it. And already we are approaching the end of this first round. Incredible. It almost feels like neither. Oh. Well, that was interesting. You know, a lot of joking, a lot of laughing to start with. These two are friends. They are tag partners. The tone kind of changed there at the end. Ultimately, they are both incredibly competitive. They're both here for the same reason, and the reason tonight is singles gold. It's singles career progression. Yeah, that was an interesting one, no doubt. But what's interesting about that match there is both wrestlers are coming into round number 2 100%. Fabio's 100%, LJ's 100%. Neither got the finish. Neither really dished out a huge amount of punishment in terms of strikes, in terms of, you know, nobody got dropped on their head, nobody got chopped to bits. It was all very technical. You know, it's very interesting as well, the pacing of these fights. You know, LJ, Cleary and Fabio both have to approach this differently to how they would approach a normal singles contest. It's, you know, ultimately if you pour everything you have into round 1, the bell rings, you reset going into round 2 and you're spent. You know, so you have to, particularly when you're quicker and you're used to spending all that energy, which somebody like Fabio especially would be. You know, it's a whole different story, and what we're seeing right now is just how evenly matched both of these men are. I mean, that goes without saying. And it looks like LJ Cleary is the one able to dictate the pace. LJ Cleary, interestingly enough, keeping this slow. And I think that's the smart way of doing things. Of course it's a smart way of doing things. LJ Cleary always does things the smart way. He is one of the most... What I refer to LJ Cleary as underratedly experienced, because you look at LJ Cleary and think, here's this young prospect, this young up-and-comer, and yet he has about a decade's experience. He's been doing this since he was so young. You know, he's one of the main wrestlers in Ireland generally. The perfect mix of youth and experience. You see Fabio very smart there, grinding his arm into LJ's face and then pulling at his hair, which again, if the shoe was on the other foot, would LJ Cleary be doing that? I feel like LJ Cleary is here to prove that he's the better wrestler, whereas Fabio is more so here just to win, and will do so at any cost. Which, you know, again, this is what I'm talking about, the clash of ideologies. Oh, and that's just Fabio doing what Fabio does. Oh, and Fabio with the cutter gets countered. LJ Cleary could be going for his double leg Boston Crab, which he likes to do, but not enough time. That's the end of round 2. And you can see how quickly these rounds, how quickly they progress. It's very interesting to watch. Of course, you know, I don't need to explain in wrestling, you know, you don't typically have rounds. It's quite a rarity. It's interesting to see what these wrestlers can achieve while given time to recover, you know, in the middle of their match, in the middle of their fights. You know, again, it could bring out a whole new level to either of them, but it could also bring out, you know, it could also be of detriment to them, you know, where their opponent comes in fully replenished and ready to go, and they just weren't ready for it, and they've thrown everything at their opponent. Another very interesting aspect of this fight that's worth pointing out is that last December, LJ Cleary had a rounds match with CBL, and you know, it was one of the best matches of the year in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling, 100%. But it's also one of those things where, you know, even having one or two of these matches, you can learn so much about how to approach the next one. You know, that is, again, one match can teach you so much because it's your first time doing it. Fabio, I believe this is his first rounds match, full stop. And, you know, this is not the 1970s anymore. You know, this is not a match that people have too often. And we're seeing now the energy that both of these men are expending in round 3 compared to round 1. Oh, LJ Cleary thought he had Fabio there. Thought he had a pinfall. Fabio tries to get a fall of his own. Again, this is just so back and forth. Fabio landing on his feet. Something he does really well when he gets out of moves is that he quickly gets to his feet. And look at these, just interesting how without hurting their opponent, they're able to use their legs as weapons to the extent that they can, and just pinning attempts that you just really come out of nowhere. And LJ Cleary wrapping up Fabio. That is the end of the first fall. And if you weren't paying attention to the rules at the start, basically at the end of every round, at the end of every fall, it ends the round. So we had roughly 90 seconds, I think, remaining of that particular round. And it, you know, that's obviously, you see LJ, he's taking his time, smart thing to do. But now you take into account the psychology of being 1-0 up. I mean, effectively, if LJ Cleary doesn't get pinned for the next 3 rounds, he doesn't get submitted, which is very, very much possible. I mean, this is LJ Cleary we're talking about. Then it's over. So he can play defensively. He can kind of he can play it a lot safer. Fabio really has to go for the finish. That's the only way he can retain his status, his number 1 contendership as well. You know, you have to remember what's on the line here. It's not just pride. It's not just, you know, trying to prove who's the better partner. I feel like we're past that at this point. You know, after they fought for the belt in the past, this is for number 1 contendership, and this is for Fabio again to get his singles career back on track. You know, he's probably should have done my research before this. I was going to say he's the only Grand Slam champion singles and tag team gold. I don't know if that's true. Martin Steers would obviously be able to make that claim as well, but very, very few wrestlers in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling are able to make that claim where they've won the tag belts and the main belt. Well, they're both kind of on the same level. Tag team and singles, I should say, the Irish Junior Heavyweight title. But it's a claim that Fabio is able to make because he's so adaptable. You know, that's why he is in the position that he's in, because he's able to adapt to his opponent. If he's taking on a monster, if he's taking on somebody, you know, a technical master, if he's taking on somebody who matches him, you know, speed for speed, he always has an answer. He always has a plan. But again, it's not as easy to have a plan when you're going up against somebody who knows you inside and out, somebody who's wrestled you, stood across from the ring from you before, stood on the same side of the ring as you before, and somebody who's also trained you. I mean, LJ Cleary is somebody who, you know, you look at all these young and upcoming wrestlers. LJ Cleary was there when those wrestlers were being trained. That's what I was saying. He has the experience advantage as well, despite being, you know, a very young wrestler himself. LJ Cleary is very smart going for these takedowns, you know, keeping Fabio off his feet. That's exactly what you want, and you can see him. He's going for that double leg Boston Crab. He uses that to, you know, submit many an opponent. But you know, Fabio, he's just so good with his feet, so good with his legs, very strong legs as well. He's able to kind of, when somebody goes for a move like a double leg Boston Crab, he's very good at throwing them off. That was a closed fist, which again Fabio has no issues with using. And now LJ Cleary, Foxy taking
LJ Cleary has received an official public warning.
Yeah, it's a warning. You do get a warning for those usually before you go and get yourself disqualified. Very interesting. Fabio, of course, got away with it because he did it behind Foxy's back. And that's the sort of sneakiness that puts the fans on the opposite side of Fabio. And Fabio, with it was an illegal pin. I'll call it like I see it. It was an illegal pin. He had his feet on the ropes, but yeah, as to be said, Fabio really is taking Foxy for a ride here. It's not something that's new to Fabio. It's something he's done ever since the start of his career. He's always been somebody who will win under any means necessary. Somebody who has, to his credit, incredible fight IQ to be able to pull off maneuvers like that. But it is very off-putting, especially in a rounds match that's really meant to be a showcase of who has the best technical ability. It's really supposed to be the sort of, I don't know, the cleanest, is that the word I'm looking for? The most straightforward match of them all. No shenanigans, no bullshit. It's meant to just be, pins, submissions, and a technical showcase. And instead we're getting, close-handed strikes behind Foxy's back. It's not what you want to see. And there we go. Again, that's what I'm talking about. Throwing the towel at LJ Cleary. I know it's not going to obviously decapitate LJ Cleary, but it's going to get in his face. It's going to distract him. It's going to, it's going to derail his momentum. What's interesting to see now is that Fabio is actually going at the pace that LJ Cleary set at the start of this fight in round 1. You can see him taunting, and that's, a lot of people don't like that, but for a lot of wrestlers, when they taunt, it does get them almost in the zone. It almost helps them kind of concentrate in a sense. Well, when the best do it, which, to be fair, love Fabio or hate him, that is exactly how you can describe him. He is the best. He is the one who competes for titles. He is the one who holds titles. He is the one, who can stand there and technically get the better of LJ Cleary, and nobody bats an eyelid because that's just what he does. If anybody else gets the technical advantage over LJ Cleary, you'd be stunned. Your mouth would be open, jaw dropped. But when Fabio, controls LJ Cleary like this, it's unusually, it's not even a surprise. You're used to it. You just know. That's what he does. 1 minute remaining. Well, just over a minute and a quarter remaining. Although the more I talk, the seconds tick down of this round. And this has been all Fabio. If we had judges and judges' scorecards, but LJ Cleary. Oh, LJ with a very quick pinfall there out of nowhere on Fabio. But Fabio kicks out. Now they're exchanging chops. LJ Cleary with some of the most underrated chops in Fight Factory, I believe. Knocking Fabio off his feet. Fabio back in the corner. And now throwing LJ Cleary over the top rope. LJ lands on the apron, and Fabio gets caught with a headbutt to the midsection. Oh, that is... You see the way the body shifts when those feet land on the back, just almost snapping the back of Fabio. Fabio kicks out at 2. And now could he be going for a double leg Boston grab? Could he be about to get it? He's been going for it this whole match. 5, 4, it's a lion tamer.
2, 1.
Doesn't get what he needs, unfortunately, for LJ Cleary. So we're 1 apiece, 50-50, and this match rolls on. Very interesting, seeing LJ Cleary hydrate, and Fabio as well, in between rounds, Water breaks. Oh! LJ Cleary catching Fabio with a super kick. Fabio somehow able to crawl through. Get him with a cutter. No, LJ Cleary counters it. LJ off the middle rope. And Fabio kicks out with 2 again. LJ Cleary not able to put his full weight and hook the legs of Fabio. And that could be what cost him, but he's in a good spot right now. Doesn't catch Fabio with the destroyer that he normally hits. These kicks of LJ Cleary, we haven't seen them at all this match. Really saving everything for the final round. This is what I was talking about. Pacing and strategy. When you end up in a fight like this with rounds and breaks, you need to kind of save as much as you can for the later rounds if you can. And LJ Cleary has done an excellent job of that as he catches Fabio with a knee. And they're just back and forth, and Fabio catches him with a cutter. Picture perfect. And in the final round, LJ Cleary kicks out at 2. Well, I was going to say in the final round, that was it. Fabio secures his #1 contendership. And this is why I don't write wrestlers off before the bell has rung. You know, Fabio is feeling it. You know, when you get somebody in that position where they can barely move, you know you are not far from the end. But if you're Fabio, I mean, the smart thing to do really is just to keep at LJ Cleary. Don't give him an extra second, because if you give him an extra second, he can't do something like that and ruin your #1 contendership host. But Fabio catches him with a cutter in midair, and LJ Cleary kicks out at 2. What is this round? This round is just a completely it feels like a completely different match. You know, the wrist locks and the technical holds, they have taken a back seat in this one. But nearly got pinned there. He counters it. Oh, this is just so close. 50-50. Oh, excellent from Fabio. And we've seen Fabio, he grabbed the middle rope just like he did when he had to beat Owen Richards a couple months ago, and it worked then. It didn't work tonight. Well, Fabio receiving his first warning. That is not his first strike with a closed fist, and LJ Cleary! Right at the death, right at the final whistle. LJ Cleary winning #1 contendership, and it's going to be a long time before we get to see LJ Cleary utilize that #1 contendership. Of course, he is off to Japan for the foreseeable future anyway. But when he's back, he will be ready. And if you're Fabio, you are raging. I mean, if you're Fabio, you've just suffered at the very last second, the very last round, your first singles loss in non-title competition in years, in a long time. I really couldn't tell you how long it's been since Fabio lost a singles competition. Yeah, in that sort of fashion. But even Fabio looks stunned. You know, and how could you not be? There was plenty of times.
In all seriousness, I'm not surprised that I'm actually there again tonight. Like, you were initially the pillar of this promotion, the pillar of the triangle scale.
That's true.
round and round of applause because he's got a fucking crazy power.
Emotions running high for Fabio. You know, this is not just, you know, a tag partner. Not just, oh, well, you know what? Why do I even bother? Like, why? Like, just, I don't really know what I expected. I just thought, oh no! It's the Saviours of Destiny coming to the aid of LJ Cleary. That is a very interesting turn of events that I can't say I saw coming. Of course, LJ Cleary did show respect to Owen Richards and Andy Steele after their title fight last month, but I really didn't think that this is something we'd see.
Alright. I suppose you probably expected us to be the last people to come out and say LJ Cleary. Because, LJ, we've had our ups and downs, way more downs than we've had ups. But at the end of the day, you've always been there for us. The first day I stepped into Fight Factory, you were here. You were here for my first match. You've always been here. And I can say, with every bit of confidence, the Saviours of Destiny would not be standing here if it wasn't for LJ Cleary.
There's a lot of wrestlers in Fight Factory that could say that.
I feel exactly the same thing.
Fabio may not be grateful for the role that LJ Cleary has played in his Fight Factory Pro Wrestling career, but there are a lot of wrestlers who are, and with good reason.
Love you too.
I'm 24 now. I started wrestling. I started Fight Factory when I was 13. 14. 16 I started. And I don't know, like it's really hard to put into words, like just like what my life has been. I've literally grown up in this place around wrestling, and something that's been running through my head a lot lately is there's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot in wrestling, and they say wrestling owes you nothing. You always hear people say that. And well, like if wrestling owes me nothing, then like man, I hit the jackpot because I literally got my life from it. Over the last 10 years, I've got the best friends in the world. I met the love of my life. I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with.
Beautiful moment.
And now I'm about to embark on a journey like that. And I'm a massive dreamer. Like
They call me Dreamer Head.
I consider myself a massive dreamer in the sense that like I actually did like I'm one of these people. I would consider myself extremely positive. I do think like everything is possible. To be honest, I think if you put your all into something, it will happen. But you know, to actually now be here for my last show in Ireland for the foreseeable future, to see this happen, I couldn't ask for it to be in a better place than my home promotion, my home school, the thing that literally gave me everything. I would be nowhere without Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. without fail, without keeping this place alive, without meeting my best friends in the world. So the last thing I'd like to leave you guys with is please just keep supporting this place. This place is going to be producing the next batch of Hall of Famers from European wrestling, and I hope to follow in the footsteps of the people that have already done it. Thank you so much, Evan, for being here tonight.
There's not really much else to add to that. As LJ Cleary makes his way to Japan. Fight Factory Pro Wrestling is proud and excited to see what's next for the man living his beautiful life. Well, this is a pleasant surprise. If any of you have been to our next gen shows, you will know who this is. This is Ozaya, a very promising up and coming prospect here in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling.
There was one person that really she helped me be the man that I am today. So,
This is a very interesting turn of events. Debbie Keitel has barely been seen or spoken to over the last few months. The Saviours of Destiny were backstage and they asked, "Can you feel it?" And she just said no. Just no. Nothing. She feels nothing but numbness and emptiness. But, you know, all it takes is one person.
You believe in me, you know, and I know now you're having a rough time, But I believe in you because you're dedicated. You're one of us, you. So there it is. You and me, let's have one head of match.
Well, that's not how I expect. I mean, you mean right now? Right here, right now? No, it doesn't appear that Debbie Keitel is in the mood for fighting.
If you don't have a match, at least give me a kiss.
Well, that's not really how we're going to be doing challenges here in Fight Factory. Oh, whoa. I get this fella out of here, man. Why is he even out here to begin with? No, no, he wasn't booked. He wasn't booked for a reason, right? Just get him out. Just get him out. Get him gone. Maybe with the fans on this one, he may have fucked up here. Well, it didn't take a huge amount for Debbie Keitel to be ready to go, and now it's Ozaya that's on his way out, and he's the one who needs motivation. He's the one who needs to be talked into this fight. As I said earlier tonight, wrestling changes so things change literally at the touch of a button. Oh, and a big boot from Debbie Keitel starts proceedings, followed by a slap. So Zaya is just begging. He's begging his way back into this match. Well, I don't think that's what Zaya had planned. And I thought that was going to be it. Zaya looks like he's seen a ghost. And Zaya has his back turned, a baseball slide right to the upper back, sending Zaya flying. Really is good to see this. We haven't seen this Debbie Keitel in what feels like forever. You know, this time last year, Debbie Keitel was in the Grapple Games match, competing for that Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship. And to see somebody go from where she was to where she ended up, it's good to see Debbie Keitel back doing what she does best. As she rams Zaya's head into every single corner. Oh, Zaya, I mean, he'll be happy with that one. Right into the arse of Foxy. Just incredible work from Debbie Keitel. I thought Zaya was out. was very impressive to the credit of Zozaya. I do mean what I say when I say that he is one of the most impressive wrestlers coming out of Fight Factory at the minute. Not enough to beat Debbie Keitel, but you know, the reality is, love him or hate him, which I imagine will all be the latter. This is somebody who's, you know, he's came into Fight Factory from Spain, effectively a kid. And you look at him now, and it's just, you know, this is a young man who's ready to potentially take Fight Factory by storm. You know, if he can put his emotional immaturity behind him. You know, if he can stop doing all the weird shit like this, I mean, he could potentially have a very bright future here. Debbie Keitel not overly impressed with what she's seen. And Debbie Keitel with that neck breaker off the middle rope. Debbie Keitel, despite Zozaya having that size advantage, it's not something that's ever phased Debbie Keitel before. We've seen her opponent after opponent. She always finds a way to get the victory, and tonight is no different. This is old school Debbie Keitel, the Debbie Keitel that we're used to. But that's still not enough to put Zozaya away. And Zozaya getting a taste of his own medicine, but he lifts up Debbie Keitel. And potentially, I was going to say potentially gets the pin, but not enough to get the victory. Oh, and Debbie Keitel sends him into Foxy. And he's not ready for it at all. And that has to be it. If Foxy can turn around and get the pinfall, it's over. It took a bit of convincing. It took a bit of talking. Regardless of how we got it, the old Debbie Keitel is back. And what we now have on our hands is somebody who has fought for the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship in the past, and somebody who will almost definitely go on to do it again. Another contender in the ranks. Incredible. Incredible stuff from Foxy. Incredible stuff from Debbie Keitel. He goes for the pin. He gets it. Foxy doesn't have any theme music. So we're just going to play Debbie's instead. But great stuff. JB, someone who this time a year ago, if you said he was going to Grapple Games, people would have laughed in your face. Look at him now. People doubt him every single month, every single show. They doubt JB. They say, nah, this is it, alright, his looks run out here, his looks run out here, his looks run out here. But it's not luck. JB has improved so much over the past year in both tag team and singles competition that in 2023, JB in Grapple Games doesn't even feel like an underdog story. It feels like he belongs there because he does. Could this be the night? People doubted him when he said JB is going to Grapple Games. He shouted it before his match and he shouted it afterwards because it was true. Now he shouts JB is winning Grapple Games. Could this be the night that he solidifies himself as one of the select few to win the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship? And very interesting stuff. He's getting Party Boy out of there, and that may seem, you know, obviously everyone loves Party Boy, but this is serious stuff, you know, and this is something that JB wants to do the right way. He wants to do this alone. He wants to prove that he is the Irish Junior Heavyweight Champion. One of 6 people sharing the same dream tonight. One walks in as champion, one walks out as champion. This is where things get very interesting. Because, of course, you heard the crowd react to Andy Steele and Owen Richer as they had a change of heart as of late. They've insisted on doing things the right way and proving why they are amongst the best. Anita Vaughn, not so much. Anita Vaughn still wants to do things her way, and her way is shortcuts, her way is cheating, her way is interference. Did recently, I won't say come to blows, but certainly had her disagreements with Andy and Owen about, how she was going to approach this match. They are saying that she needs to do it on her own. They did it on their own. But can Anita Vaughn do the same? We'll have to wait and see. This is a very interesting one. This is a former Irish junior heavyweight champion. You look through the contestants in this match. You look at CBL, Big Rab, JB, Anita Vaughn. None of them have the experience that Tucker has. None of them can claim that they were once Irish junior heavyweight champion. For Tucker, his story is different to everyone else. His story is not about putting his name on that list and immortalizing himself. His name is on that list forever. He's a former champion. It's not about that. It's about winning back the title that he says he's never lost. He had to vacate it through injury. Did compete for it again a couple of months ago and still came up short. This is it for Tucker. And what a story this would be. What a story this would be if we had a new champion tonight, and that new champion came to us in the form of Big fucking Rab. Big Rab. Last time we saw this man, he stood toe to toe with Big Damo and pushed Big Damo to his limits. I'll let the fan response speak for itself. People have been rooting for Big Rab. His support has been growing more and more, month after month after month. The people recognize what Big Rab is capable of. Big Rab has something in this match that really, I don't know if there's anybody in this match that has the strength, the physical power that Big Rab has. And that's something that he's going to bring into this multi-man fight. However, I say nobody in this match has the strength and the power that Big Rab has. I wrote my notes and did my research before CBL got effectively a bye into this match. And don't get me wrong, that is no disrespect to CBL. He was, of course, meant to fight Terry Thatcher, with the winner earning a place in this match. Terry Thatcher out with injury, unfortunately. We wish him all the best. But it meant that CBL got added in immediately. And for CBL, that's excellent news, not only because he gets to enter Grapple Games, of course, but he gets to do so completely fresh. He doesn't have to worry about having, because Terry Thatcher is someone who you have to really earn a victory over Terry Thatcher. So he doesn't have to worry about whatever 15, 20 minutes he would have had to put into beating Terry Thatcher, assuming he even got the victory. He's straight in there. And he is straight into the biggest opportunity of his career to date. The odds never favor the champion in this match. They never do. It's incredibly difficult to walk in as champion and walk out as champion. It has been done. Don't get me wrong. We've seen Fabio do it last year when nobody expected him to. A lot of people had their eyes on the likes of Justin Daniels, Klong, Martin Steers himself to walk out as champion. However, it ended up being Fabio on that night. However, on this night, we're going to have to wait and see. But CBL is somebody who brings strength and power into this match in the same way that Big Rab does. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all lines up. The champion. not just the champion, the Ballymun monster. This is Martin Steers. This is the man in Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. This is the person who, if you want to be the champ, you have to beat the champ. Although that doesn't necessarily apply in this match, because this could go one of 6 ways. 6 wrestlers, all of whom can win, all of whom can get pinned, and if any of them get pinned, that man right there loses his championship on the spot. Such an unpredictable match. There's a reason why this is the event on the Fight Factory Pro Wrestling calendar. I mean, the levels we have seen Martin Steers rise to over the past year is absolutely incredible. He came in to Grapple Games last year as a contender, as potentially one of the favourites to go on and win it. He came up short that night, and since then, he has been on an absolute tear. So many potential outcomes here tonight. Good luck betting on this. Next time Colum announces any of these, he could be announcing them as champion, and that must be an incredible feeling for all of these. You almost forget when you look at all the different people in this match. You're dreaming about all the different outcomes, all the different scenarios. You forget that at the top of this list, at the top of all of these wrestlers, you have a man who, yes, they're calling Rat, but you also have to call him champion. A man who won the belt and has never let it leave its grip. A man who always finds a way, a man who's not afraid to bet on himself. It's really exciting because Martin Steers against any of these wrestlers in singles competition is an incredibly interesting prospect, an incredibly exciting one to watch. The fact that we're getting all of these potential singles matches at the same time with the belt on the line is just... And I'm noticing all eyes on Steers. Slapping CBL, not the wisest move. Now that is the wisest move. Running out of there. Oh, CBL and Big Rab, the two strongest wrestlers. Oh! Throwing him into the wolves effectively. And Tucker's chops. Don't forget Tucker's chops. I mean, that he has the hardest hitting chops in all of Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. Martin Steers is going to be in for a very tough opening, but he always knew that was going to be the case. And while he's on the outside recovering, now it's time for everybody else to go at it. And I did mention a second ago the chops of CBL. I mean, oh, Anita Vaughn actually with some chops of her own. But this is the problem with Anita Vaughn, and this is an emotional immaturity that you don't see with Andy Steele and Owen Richards. Taking time to taunt. I mean, you know, Owen Richards and Andy Steele, they taunt, they do the can you feel it, you know, but they pick their moment. They know when to do it, when the time is right. And Anita Vaughn just does it in the middle of a match, like she's playing a game and just accidentally hit the wrong button. It doesn't, you know, you need to time it, but CBL and Rab, this is very smart. CBL and Rab forming an alliance to deal with the likes of Tucker. That's incredibly intelligent from the two of them, because stylistically they're the most similar. So CBL is pulling out the power moves on someone and Big Rab is pulling out the power moves on somebody. They can both, you know, work together and turn it up a level if they really want to, but it looks like we're not getting that. It looks like we're going to be getting CBL versus Big Rab. Of course, respect shown on both sides. This is a very interesting one. I mean, CBL has seen the highest heights that you can see in Fight Factory, bar winning the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship. Big Rab, a different story. Big Rab, you know, he spent a lot of his last year, a lot of his last 2 years at the bottom. You know, fighting in matches that wouldn't even be announced before the show. And he worked his way up. He scratched and clawed until he got Big Damo at our last show. And even in that, he didn't actually win the match. He was given his spot in Grapple Games because of his performance. But look behind Big Rab. This is what I'm talking about. The fight IQ of Martin Steers, his ring awareness, his willingness to take every opportunity that presents itself and to create opportunities where there are none. Martin Steers, in my opinion, and it's a subjective opinion in an unpredictable match, I still think Martin Steers is the favourite. Despite all the talent, despite the CBLs and the Big Rabs and, you know, the Tuckers, everybody who's in there right now, nothing beats the mental side of Martin Steers. People talk about the physical side, his speed, his quickness, of course. You mentioned that going into every Martin Steers match. But it's the mental side that separates the champions from the contenders, and that is why Martin Steers is the Irish Junior Heavyweight Champion. I thought people were chanting Rab, they're chanting Rat. Not a popular one, even after all his success. The fans still very much against Martin Steers, and with Steers out of the ring, CBL now stands in to face Tucker, who hits him with a perfect sling blade. Tucker, I mean, really what he has over everybody here is experience. Even a champion. Usually you come into a match like this and the champion is the one with the experience advantage. But Steers, compared to Tucker, I mean, Tucker has been wrestling since Steers was probably in primary school. I mean, Tucker's been around quite a few years. You know, anybody who follows wrestling up north in particular would be more than familiar with Tucker. But I mean, you've seen him everywhere. You've seen him in WWE, of course, as well. This is a man who's held our championship, and he's held championships everywhere else. But Big Rab goes for the chop, blocks it, and you just don't go chop for chop with Tucker. That's just not the area that you really want to challenge Tucker in. Big Rab drops Tucker's head onto his knee, and Rab throws Tucker into the corner. Rab with a splash to the midsection. These matches are just constant action, start to finish. The wrestling equivalent of watching Fast and Furious. As JB now makes his way into the fray. And this is what I'm talking about. One challenger leaves, another one enters. It's one after another after another. If you don't have the physical stamina to keep up, very good strikes from JB. But Big Rab doing everything he can to cling to the head of JB. Oh, and almost like a Superman punch there from JB. Tough to see from my angle. I was kind of blocked off, but JB and shades of Leighton Buzzard there. That's definitely somebody who you'd want to emulate when you're in there and you're fighting for belts. Leighton Buzzard, of course, before Martin Steers was the champion. So JB doing really well in here against Big Rab. I mean, Big Rab kicking out at 2. Anita Vaughn with a kick to the back of JB, and this is what I'm saying. Another one leaves, another one enters, and Anita Vaughn straight in with some chops. And another. Anita Vaughn, seeing how much those chops from Tucker hurt, decides, you know what, maybe that's the way forward in this match. You know, Anita Vaughn, when she has that adrenaline, when she's not stopping to taunt and, you know, get into people's head, like what she's doing now, you know, when she's in there actually doing her thing, she's an incredible talent and a potential champion, no doubt, but it is a case of focusing. It is a case of taking it seriously. And a spinning back kick to the midsection. Anita Vaughn not being able to catch JB in what she was going for initially, but Martin Steers coming in, and this very interesting. I was actually suggesting to someone before this match that perhaps we'd see an Anita Vaughn, Martin Steers, you know, perhaps we'd see a team or temporary alliance of sorts, but no, CBL is in there, and now CBL off the middle rope potentially. We can see what he's going for. Martin Steers slides out underneath. JB punches Martin Steers into CBL. And now Steers is outside the ring. And sometimes you have to ask, is it beneficial to be outside the ring? Of course, you're the champion. You need to keep an eye on everything that's going on. But at the same time, you do need rest in this match. You do need, you know, time on the outside to recover. If you're in there start to finish the entire time, it might not end too well. Big Rab comes in. And Big Rab whoa, potentially a Tower of Doom here. Jesus! Tucker doing what needs to be done in a multi-person match like this, taking out as many people as he can at once. And this, well, I was going to say it's textbook Anita Vaughn going for quick pinfalls. Well, she has a chance, and it is Martin Steers trying to stop her, because it is a very Martin Steers trait as well to go in and take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. Unfortunately, more needs to be done to put away all of these competitors. But this is Anita Vaughn's weakness. Calling for the Saviours. I mean, this is... well, their music's hit. I don't see them. I do see an SDK from Tucker. No Andy, no Owen. That was, again, what I was talking about earlier. A difference in ideology now. A difference in combat sports philosophy. You know, honor versus... I suppose just win by any means necessary. And Big Rab, seeing Big Rab in there with Tucker is is a very interesting clash of styles. We saw it a few months ago. We've never got to see it in singles competition, however, and that would be a very interesting one. Perhaps we'll see it if either of those men get to be champion. But for now, a drop toe hold. JB with the ankle lock on Anita Vaughan. Uranagi on CBL. JB could be about to win this, but Martin Steers comes in, and Steers gets caught with a kick to the midsection, and that's not enough to stop JB. And Martin Steers being thrown away like he's nothing, and JB is locking in this ankle lock. I can't believe what I'm about to say. Well, I'm not going to say it. I thought JB was about to become the next Irish Heavyweight Champion, but I see Tucker on the top turnbuckle, and Tucker off the top. And that's going to hurt both of them. Make no mistake about it. Anita Vaughan may have broke the hold, don't get me wrong, but Anita Vaughan did not escape unscathed from that attack there by Tucker to break things up. And it's weird in a match like this, when there's 6 competitors all fighting at once, that they're all down at once. It just goes to show what needs to happen in order for everyone to be down at the same time in a match like this. Martin Steers throws the first strike. JB throws a headbutt, a strike from CBL. Tucker's back to his feet first. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, endurance in a match like this. CBL takes him down. And we're in a circle now, everybody exchanging strikes. JB with a knee to Tucker. CBL. No, Martin Steers sends CBL into the ropes. And Steers is caught, and Big Rob sending Steers into a whole wave of opponents. And now we go right back to where we started. Big Rob and CBL. Not as much smiles and handshakes now. They know what's at stake. Lariats that just don't knock the other man off their feet. And that's not because those lariats aren't powerful. That's because these men are so difficult, not just to put away, but to take off their feet. That alone is such a challenge. I mean, this is so much pride in this for both men. I mean, CBL has to prove that he is where he was at the start of this year. Big Rob has to prove that his performance against Big Damo was not a flash in the pan one-off. Oh, and Big Rob just lifting, reefing JB into the air and just taking him out with a forearm. You'd love to see it. Could he be going for a package pile driver? No. JB, could he be going for that scissor kick? He is! He gets it! And that's what he's put many opponents away with that before. That really is the move for JB. And Anita Vaughan runs in. JB! Completely countering the momentum of Anita Vaughan. And now going for a second scissor kick. Misses! Anita Vaughan moves out of the way. Rocked. But still has enough. Oh, Anita Vaughan taking JB out for the time being. And Steers lands on his feet, spinning back kick, and just a series of kicks from Steers, and Steers with a cartwheel kick on Big Rob. I mean, this is incredible stuff from Martin Steers. A kick to the chest to CBL. And Martin Steers with that standing moonsault, and now off the middle rope. Springboard stunner hits on Anita Vaughan. But Anita Vaughan gets out of the ring before he has a chance to make a cover. Now CBL's in, and CBL! I mean, this is what we're talking about, the power of CBL. I mean, that is just Invaluable. Oh! Tucker, I mean, he wasn't aiming for Martin Steers. Almost instinctively apologizing, even though he's got nothing to apologize for. That's what you do in a match like this. You go for everyone, you take every opportunity, you don't break pinfall. Well, you do break pinfalls, but you know, you don't stop and apologize. You go for what you need to do. And Tucker, I mean, these chops are ridiculous. The chops from Tucker, they sound different, they feel different from chops from anybody else in Fight Factory. Tucker just, they sting, they reverberate around the venue. Oh, but CBL, I mean, this has only fired CBL up. CBL, he's not stunned, he's not stopped in his tracks by any chops or any strikes. If you want to take CBL out, there is so much that you need to do. You know, really one of the most durable wrestlers in Fight Factory. CBL going for the pin, but again, Tucker does such a good job of targeting the chest of CBL. It's not enough to put away CBL. He kicks out with 2. Kick takes out CBL and Steers from behind. With a springboard, Steers getting caught. I mean, Martin Steers, what he does so well, he's the quickest, always the quickest to get back into a match. But Steers, I mean, just a collision of bodies. You don't even know. You see something like that, and you don't even know who got the upper hand. Really, it's CBL. You'd have to say is probably in the best spot out of Steers and Tucker in that one. And CBL with some clotheslines and shoulder tackle. Oh, he can't even knock on his own chest. Because you can just really visibly showcasing the wear and tear that he's suffered throughout this main event. And CBL with the clothesline in one corner, clothesline in the other. Anita Vaughn and JB back and forth. Anita Vaughn throwing him onto the ring apron. But CBL is not out off the top. And that is not somewhere you usually see CBL. Well, that's where he went, because he knows this is the sort of match where high risk equals high reward. And CBL off the top with that shoulder tackle. I'm letting the fans do the talking with this one. You can see the energy has changed. This is not the CBL that's lost the run of himself these past few months. This is not the CBL that has struggled for victories as the year progressed. This is the CBL we saw at the start. This is the CBL that's challenging Leighton Buzzard. This is the CBL that very nearly won the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship before Martin Steers cashed in and stole his dream from him. Oh, and Martin Steers with the low blow. And you forget, I mean, Foxy can tell him off, but he can't disqualify him. And this is why the fans call him a rat, because this is what he resorts to. But it is effective. And now he goes for the belt. And again, I mean, this is one of those things where you can criticize it, but you can't punish him for it. And this could be it. No, CBL kicks out with 2. And now you can really feel the belief in the Fight Factory amongst the fans, amongst everyone watching. they can feel the tide turning a little bit, even with Martin Steers on the top. And he goes with a shooting star press, he misses. And CBL comes in from behind, and this could be it. It is! It is! Well, I didn't see this coming. I have to say, I did not see this coming. A man who still had to qualify just to get into the match, up until the other day, has now walked out with the Irish Junior Heavyweight Championship. A belt that he came so close to winning at the start of this year. He finally does it. He finally achieves. He finally achieves it. I'm stunned. I don't know what to say. Those people doubting him all year, and I'll put myself in that category. I doubted him when he was struggling to pick up his victories. I doubted the mental side of his game when he struggled to reclaim momentum. But here he is, the bull, the champion, CBL.